Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Charles Morris. This is going to be a quick video. I'm going to be making this a continued video on what I was going to be saying about the OLED switch. Now, as I mentioned, this new Nintendo Switch, this OLED switch is not going to have improved programming just like Nintendo's past consoles. You know how the Wii was able to play GameCube games with better programming, and how the 3DS, or the new Nintendo 3DS and 2DS XLs, and even the new Nintendo 2DS and Nintendo 3DS were able to take less loading time versus the original 2DS and 3DS. They were able to load Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS, and Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform for the 3DS much faster, because on the original Nintendo 3DS and 2DS, you had to restart the system every time you closed the software, and Nintendo made improvements on those games, or those systems, and boosted the programming in those. Now, I would have expected this to be on for the OLED and load the Switch games much faster, especially the powerful Switch games. One of the games that take a long time to load on here, or I mean on the regular Nintendo Switch, the Animal Crossing New Horizons, I would have expected to have a less loading time on the OLED, but no, this is not the case. In my other video, I've just mentioned that it's just going to have an improved kickstand for tabletop mode and improved audio, colors, crisp contrast, 64 gigabytes of RAM, a LAN adapter for television mode, and that was about it. No improved programming. So there's only one way that Nintendo could actually improve the quality of the product. This OLED Switch is priced at $349.99. That's $350. And one thing that Nintendo would do, and if they realized that the OLED Switch was not selling so well and that stuff, well, it would be because of bad reviews and that stuff. Because if their products get bad reviews and that stuff, and they get themselves into financial trouble with the product and that stuff, and they get all these lawsuits and stuff filed against them and that stuff, it's gonna make them look bad, and they're going to pretty much wake up and realize that they need to fix something here, because it's gonna make them look bad as a company. And especially with Joy-Con drift, I have mentioned that they would not be fixing the Joy-Con drift issue, and it's just like GameStop policies. You can buy the Switch and the Joy-Cons with the warranty, but when the Joy-Cons go bad and that stuff, they just give you another pair and they don't fix the problem at all. That's what Nintendo does when you ship them back to Nintendo for repairs. And they just give you a new pair. Same thing with GameStop, you buy them with a warranty, and you get a new pair when they start drifting. Nintendo does that, and Nintendo doesn't bother fixing the Joy-Con drift and that stuff. They just send you a new pair, and then When those start drifting, you send those back to Nintendo and they give you another pair. And every time you get your Joy-Con back, like a new pair of Joy-Cons back and stuff, you get a paper that says we have identified the problem and that stuff. And that it's pretty like, it's almost like, I don't understand why Nintendo just can't seem to identify the problem and actually fix it versus sending you a new pair of Joy-Cons. I mean, if this is the OLED Switch and they have drifty OLED Switch Joy-Cons, well, that's just going to give them bad reviews from people who actually review how good is the OLED Switch, and if they find problem with the Joy-Cons and the OLED Switch and that stuff, that will give them bad reviews. It will hurt them as a company, and they might start to actually figure out that, hey, we're getting bad reviews on the OLED Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons and that stuff, and we're losing sales on selling a lot of OLED Switch units because of bad reviews and that stuff. We need to do something to actually fix the Joy-Con drift issues and that stuff, and improve our products and that stuff, so that we can get our company back on its feet. That's just one explanation I can think of right there. I hope that it would actually come to it. Now, like I mentioned, the OLED Switch is not going to be coming out until October 8th. So, we'd have to see in the future if the OLED Switch does get bad reviews, that Nintendo does fix the Joy-Con drift issue with the OLED Switch as much as they'd fix the Joy-Con drift issue with the regular Nintendo Switch. Because right now, I think that Nintendo would want to improve Joy-Con drift with both the Switch and the OLED Switch, so that they can still have those units sell very well. And it'd be good for the company, because that would help keep them on their feet by keeping both units selling so well. Because, look, if they fix the Joy-Con issues for both the original Nintendo Switch and the OLED, then it's going to benefit them, it's going to benefit the customers, and then it's like, people will be happy with Nintendo. And Nintendo will start to figure out that now we're doing much better than just ignoring the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con drift problems. And look how much better we're standing on our, having the company stand on its feet, because we fixed the Joy-Con drift issue, because we've gotten a bunch of complaints and bad reviews and that stuff, and look where this actually brought us. Look where it brought the company. It got us back on our feet financially, and we're starting to be able to sell the OLED Switch and the Switch units much faster, because we improved our game, because of these bad reviews that we've been getting and stuff. This could be good for the whole entire company. And because we priced the Nintendo OLED Switch at $350 and that stuff. We fixed it because we fixed the Joy-Con drift issue. We should feel good. We should actually feel very pleased with how we're doing things. Because of bad reviews, we've learned a valuable lesson. And because of how we were doing things in the past with the Joy-Con drift issues on the original Nintendo Switch, we fixed the problem with the OLED Switch Joy-Con drift issue, and that would keep us back on our feet. Now, I'm not saying that Nintendo would fix the Joy-Con drift issue. I'm just saying that the more bad reviews they get on this OLED Switch, which I would assume that would be after the release, when they find out they get so much bad reviews on the Joy-Con drift issues on the OLED Switch, as much as the original Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, they start probably wake up and realize that Joy-Con drift issue is a real big problem, because we're getting so much bad reviews on our products and stuff. We're not selling these things so well, and we need to do something to fix this. Now, Pro Controllers, that's a whole nother story, but my advice is don't buy third-party Pro Controllers, because they will not even work properly as you would have expected them to and stuff. And you don't want to trust third-party Pro Controllers, because if you get like so rough with the analog sticks and that stuff, they could start to not work properly as that versus a actual Nintendo licensed Pro Controller. So my advice is stay away from getting third-party Pro Controllers. Other than that, this is Charles Morris. Have a good day, and hopefully Nintendo can actually fix this Joy-Con drift issue after the OLED has been released. And once they get those bad reviews, they'll probably start figuring out that they need to change something about how they're making the Joy-Cons, because they need to do something to make these Joy-Cons not drift so much and that stuff, and that's going to hurt their sales, and that's going to hurt the company as well. They may soon wake up and start figuring this out after bad reviews. Now, there could be bad reviews after bad reviews and that stuff, and it could get their attention. This is Charles Morris. Have a good day. I will see you all later. And later I'll be making another video. Have a good day.